Now, a young boy whose body was found hanging on a tree in Delta State University, Trey Reed, writes, this happened about that time the whole Charlie Kirk was happening. It happened after Charlie Kirk and it didn't really go viral as it should. People didn't say anything about it. The media was not saying anything. We were only pushing it here on TikTok, right? People were not pushing it anywhere. Like everybody was all about Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. But these two young men were found hanging on the trees and they said they unalived themselves, right? But this thing is not what happened, because you would hardly find a black student commit such things in a university, for crying out loud, right? I've seen the post his father made on Facebook where he said that his son has been complaining about racism in his school and that he has called on police and the school authority were not doing anything about it. Definitely that means they've been doing it consistently and they didn't stop, right? Until this fateful day. Obviously, when this whole Charlie Kirk stuff happened, I believe the white supremacists had to get angry and then they went to do this one. So these two people were hanging, right? And all of them, not the atrocity wasn't done at once. It was 1 hour in between. But now let's talk about Trey Reed, right? Trey Reed body was he had broken legs. How would someone who had broken legs commit such suicide, right? How will that even happen? That was where it became very, 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 very tricky. And a lot was said to be done, like the whole autopsy and all of that. We had people who even came out to say, we are going to pay for an independent autopsy and all of that, because the school kept on insisting that this boy actually did these things himself, which was not even true. And then the first autopsy went, the second one went, and then this is even the third one, but we're removing the second one that happened, and then this is the third one, right? Has proven that this boy was unalived. Now the parents and everybody is asking for footage and they said there's no footage. Let's watch these videos and then I will be back with the commentaries.
A 21-year-old black student was found hanging from a tree in Mississippi, and they're already trying to call it a suicide. But in this country, black folks don't get the benefit of transparency. We get the headlines, the confusion, the closed doors. So as much as I don't want to jump to conclusions, I do have to ask questions, right? Trey Reed was a college student at Delta State University. On September 15th, his body was found hanging from a tree near the pickleball courts on campus. Not in his dorm, not off campus, on school grounds, in public view. Now, when I hear a black man found hanging from a tree in Mississippi, I flinch, because that's not just history, that is memory. And historically, those cases have been swept under the rug too many times. Officials say that there were no signs of broken bones, no bruising, no struggle. That's what the coroner reported. They also say no foul play is suspected. But his family says they were told something different at first. That he died in his dorm. That detail changed later, and now they've hired Ben Crump, as they should, because they want a full investigation, an independent autopsy, and the release of campus surveillance footage. So let's be honest, because it's not paranoia to ask for clarity when the story keeps shifting. So I also have to wonder something else, right? After CK was killed, multiple HBCUs received threats. Law enforcement brushed some of them off, of course. But students and families were on high alert. Now, 5 days later, a young black man ends up dead under circumstances that echo racial terror. And everyone's being told not to overreact? Huh? Now, I am not here to stir up fear, but I am here to say that when you know the history and the timeline is what it is, you pay attention. Now, I don't know what happened to Trey Reed, but I do know that black people don't hang themselves from trees. Maybe that makes people uncomfortable. But this country has made that association long before we did. So we're not asking for chaos, we're asking for truth. And if they're confident that this isn't what it looks like, then prove it fully, transparently, publicly. I hope you're resting well, Trey.
So why did Trey Reed first autopsy report come out a week or so ago when they found him hanging in a tree adjacent to a college campus in Mississippi? You guys remember the day where they found two people within an hour apart from each other hanging from trees? The young man's first autopsy, Trey Reed is the one I'm speaking of right now. His first autopsy report came back that there was no trauma to the body, that it was self-inflicted. But the family has ordered a second autopsy report. And the second report shows that Trey Reed had multiple trauma fractures to the skull. So you're telling me that the college campus influenced the first medical examiner to rule out no foul play in the hanging of this young man, and come to find out that the second autopsy report tells a whole different story? How many people have been unalived based off of false examination reports from the coroner's office? Fake autopsy reports. This is proof right here, man, that nothing has changed. Something happened to that young man that day when he was found in that tree in Mississippi. But everybody wanted to rush, do autopsy reports, and sweep it under the rug real quick. Come to find out that it was foul play involved the whole time, guys. Listen, man, this is sad, man. I said something wasn't right. If you go back and watch my videos I did on this Trey Reed situation, you guys will see I said that something wasn't adding up. The dots are not connecting. They did it so fast and swept it under the rug so fast. They was not expecting that second autopsy report to come back to showing fractures. How can the first medical examiner did not see this? Or did the first medical examiner see the fractures but decided to cover up for the college campus, the racism that's taking place at the college campus, guys? You guys let me know what you think, man. This is really sad. This is a sad day in United States history, man. This is really bad, man. I'm baffled by this.
Trey Reed's father, Genesis Perry, posted this Facebook post that reads, he, meaning Trey, was calling home talking about some of the racism he was experiencing alone with some of his friends. White guys riding around on campus throwing trash at them and calling them the N-word. He, meaning Trey, finally got the tag number and called the police. They did nothing. Our son, Trey Reed, then began to put pressure on the police department because it was constantly happening and he hadn't heard back from the complaint he filed. He didn't just become a target for racism at Delta State. He became a target for the police department for demanding they do their job, the Facebook post said. As a Palestinian, I stand with Trey Reed. I demand justice and answers for his family.
Here's an update and some facts about Trey Reed, the black 21-year-old college student who was found hanging on his college campus at Delta State University. A lot of people are saying that the autopsy that is being done privately by Colin Kaepernick is the second autopsy, and it's actually the third. And I'm going to get to why that's important in just a second. The initial examination was actually conducted by Bolivar County Coroner, which was when the police first came out and said that there was no foul play, which was very quick and didn't seem like it made sense. After a lot of pushback, they then sent his body to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner, where they announced again that there was no foul play and that he was unalived by self-unaliving. The reason that it's important to note that the private autopsy by Colin Kaepernick is the third is because that would mean that two medical examiners and coroners were covering up something that they knew happened. Now, according to the Chicago Crusader, they're saying that someone who's really close to the family but not authorized to speak said that there was foul play and that they found some new evidence in the case with Trey Reed. However, Ben Crump, the civil rights activist attorney who has been retained by the family, and his legal office have not announced or shared any updates in the case. It is, however, important to note that they have been requesting the video footage that the college campus and the police say that they have, and they have not given them access to the footage. They are saying that because it's an ongoing investigation that they can't share the footage with the family, but it's clear that something is going on here because it's not adding up. But justice for Trey Reed, and I absolutely do believe that we're going to find out that there was some foul play in this situation.
You didn't have to tell black people that Delta State University student Trey Reed didn't hang himself. And now a second autopsy proves it. I'm Major League, and this is some news you need to know. From the moment Trey Reed's body was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University's campus, authorities rushed to label it a suicide. Before the evidence, before the investigation, and despite common sense, this label was slapped on. But black folk know this story all too well. Trey was an outgoing kid planning his future, and the belt they say he used to hang himself was 3 times his size and missing a buckle. Either the local authorities think you're stupid, or they don't care at all what you think. The second independent autopsy requested by the family showed blunt force trauma to Trey's head. That doesn't sound like suicide. That sounds like a homicide and a cover-up. Thankfully, the family and the community pushed for these answers. There was no camera footage, evidence was missing, and authorities ignored witnesses who said they saw Trey pacing back and forth on the campus before he disappeared. But this isn't new. Black people have seen suspicious deaths branded as suicides for generations. It's part of the ugly history of racial violence in this country. This is the most important story you're going to hear about today, so make sure you like, share, and follow for more Major League news.
Where is the outrage from the media, politicians, literally anyone, about Trey Reed, a black man who was lynched by white supremacists on a Mississippi college campus, and the police immediately said that it was a suicide? Because, you know, black people just have a natural propensity to hang themselves from trees. Those weren't racial terror lynchings by the KKK from the Reconstruction era through Jim Crow. It was just an epidemic of public suicides. And we can't ignore the fact that this happened shortly after the Charlie Kirk shooting, when HBCUs had to shut down and go on lockdown because of threats. Even though it was a fascist, groyper white dude who killed Charlie Kirk. The media, politicians, the entire far right, and liberal influencers and politicians who bought into this hysteria around Charlie Kirk are directly responsible for Trey Reed's death. And unfortunately, this is just the beginning of a new era of far right terror.
The more I learn about this Trey Reed case, the more I'm like, what do you mean you originally said that he was found in his dorm room, but he really was found on a tree? What do you mean? What do you mean there was no foul play, but you reported to his family that he was found in a particular building, but he really was found outside? And then hearing the family of Trey Reed says that the president of the university has not reached out to me, and then seeing a press release and a video from the president saying he's going to continue to stay in communication with the family. Yeah, a bunch of foul play and a bunch of suspicion is going on here. And full transparency, the Mississippi State Medical Examiners did determine that the findings are consistent with the initial investigation, determined the cause of death to be hanging, and the manner of death is by him doing it himself. The Cleveland Police Department said in the press conference yesterday. And with all that being said, I still had the same feelings that Trey Reed family has. This is all suspicious. We need an independent investigation to really see what's happening and really see what happened. I want to be clear. I am not saying that this man does not have the capability of taking his own life, because I know that all of us do. What I am saying that is this suspicious that this man climbed on a tree, or was he found in his dorm room, or he climbed on a tree, he tied a noose on there and he jumped off. Once you got a string from a tree, it's automatically a noose.
This is my second video of me talking about the 2 men that were lynched in Mississippi today. To remind y'all, they were only an hour away from each other. Cleveland and Vicksburg, Mississippi. Both happened the same day, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were connected. But I wanted to touch on something right quick. My people are very, very silent about this situation. And you know why they're silent about this situation? It's because they're so used to it. Oh, it's just another black person that was killed by a white person. It's been happening. It's going to keep happening for years. So I'm not going to post about it. It doesn't fit my aesthetic. I'm not going to talk about it. And yeah, I really don't care unless it's one of my brothers, sisters, mom, or dad. And see, that's the sad thing, because black people used to be big on togetherness. We used to be like in there for real. And we don't realize we done lost it. We really done lost it. We have some that are still on track, but we have some that really done lost it. The world is not going to love black people. We have to accept that the world is not gonna love black people, and we don't realize how much power we have if we just stick together for justice. We really done lost it. I think people just done gave up along the way. I don't know what it is, and I don't care about an aesthetic. I'm gonna post this because this could have happened to one of my people. I'm from Mississippi, one of the racist states in America. So if Trey Reed's our own governor won't say nothing, I will. I'm gonna keep sharing it, and I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying their names. This man was hung at school, and they think it was a suicide while he's beat up and both his legs are broken. Can we be so for real right now? Could we really come on now? Could we? I'm telling you, it starts with us. It starts with us. The white people think we don't care. They think we don't care no more. I even had a black person tell me, "Oh, Jody, you so pro-black, girl." I'm not hearing the problem. And why are you not? Why are you not pro-black?
There has been an update in the Trey Reed case. If you need a little refresher, Trey Reed went to Delta State University in Mississippi, and his body was found hanging from a tree, a whole belt wrapped around his neck and everything. And surprise, surprise, they said he did it to himself. And an autopsy was done, but surprise, surprise, some details were left out. And of course, a lot of us knew that shit. Knew he didn't fucking lynch himself. Like, we're not dumb. And it pisses me off so bad when y'all will believe that. As a black person, that would be our way to go, is to fucking confuse everybody for real. And literally, like, y'all are so dumb. So Colin Kaepernick, the one y'all, oh my god, hate so bad because he wanted to stand up for what was right, clock it, decided he was going to pay privately for his own autopsy, a second one. Well, guess what this autopsy shows? Some blunt force trauma to his head. The ligature marks match more with the strangulation rather than a hanging. Oh, mind you, the blunt force trauma was to the back of his head. And the craziest part about it all is that there was 4 white students, and yes, race does fucking matter, that he was arguing with, had an altercation with, in defense of his sister because she had posted some things about Charlie Kirk online. Y'all motherfucking fave. Because y'all were screaming, crying, and throwing up about that senseless death. Y'all were quiet and silent about Trey Reed's. Let's talk about it. And y'all that believed that he did that to himself, you're fucked up and you need help. I'm not afraid to say it. And you're a weird ass bitch. And may he rest in peace. Now, hopefully a little bit more securely, that we are starting to see the truth come to light.
If it was a white boy that was hanging from a tree at Delta State University, the whole university would have shut down until further notice, would have been a big ass investigation, and they would have found who did it.
When are you all going to get it? They're not self-unalivings. They're hate crimes. Demar Travion Reed, also known as Trey, a brilliant and bright student at Delta University in Grenada, Mississippi, was recently found hanging from a tree on the university's campus. There are reports that Trey was covered in bruises and had 2 broken legs, so they expect us to believe that with 2 broken legs, Trey hobbled over and hoisted himself up in the tree. Yeah, I'm calling bullshit. Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, and Trey Reed were unalived by hate crimes. And when there's people writing songs like this, Trey Reed's family is going to need all of our support and all of our voices. Y'all know what to do. We need justice for Trey Reed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the autopsy came out and it was just exactly what we've been expecting, right? He had various fractures on his skull and all of that, right? Which means he didn't take his own life himself. Somebody actually did that, right? I believe some of these abusers in school would have been the ones who came out to do this, But then let me tell you, it's very sad, it's painful how this injustice keep happening to black people in America and people are not saying anything about it. I believe this is not fair and it should be handled appropriately. They should find who these culprits are. Just the way Charlie Kirk's killer was placed a 100K bounty, the same should be done in this case. So these people don't keep doing this. This is not fair. This is somebody's child. A 21-year-old, for crying out loud. A bright boy in school. Everybody talks about him. He is so intelligent. Why would this happen to him? And nobody's saying anything about it. Why would these things keep happening to black people in America and nobody's saying anything about it? People are not protesting. They are not coming to social media to check who posted it and then maybe start making people lose their jobs and all of that, just like they did in the case of Charlie Kirk. No, this is not fair. Now we're so happy that the autopsy came out, and I just hope that they don't treat it like many other cases. I pray and I hope that his killers be found, because they definitely should be found so Trey Reed can get justice. This is not fair at all. This is not fair at all. I don't know if you are a student of that school and you're watching my video. Let me see what you think in the comment section. Have you faced these things in school before? It's time we start speaking out so that people will hear our voice, right? We don't have to keep quiet. We have to speak it out so people can actually hear that this is what we are facing as a collective in that particular university, right? We won't let this slide away like that. We must get justice for Trey Reed, right? Do not forget it's Global Gist with Beejay. If you've not subscribed, please go and subscribe. Like and share these videos, right? This is Global Gist with Beejay. My name is Blessing. Do not forget Global Gist with Beejay is where we treat topics where you won't see anywhere. And that is why it's very important that you subscribe, you like and you share it at all times. Turn on your notification bell so whenever I drop anyone, you can see it. Thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.